My name is Tamás Ungár, and I have been fortunate to be invited to the forthcoming Nashville International Chopin competition. I'm one of the judges, and I have been asked to say a few words about Chopin, about how to prepare for the competition, and some sort of idea as you are preparing for this incredible event in October. The first question was asked about what do I look for in Chopin's music. I think the most important aspect of Chopin is missed by many people, because he was a genius of such an extraordinary strength. Imagine that you come from a beautiful place called Warsaw, which was not in the avenues of the great artists at the time when Chopin was growing up. But somehow he instinctively found a sound, pianism, a new pianism, that became the future of pianistic history. His sound, if you read about all the comments that other people made at the time, was unique. It was very much in depth, sincerity, and lack of virtuosity that so many other people were pursuing at the time. So for me, Chopin is always lyrical, always need to say something very, very special, and never feeling that you, meaning the performer, is the number one. Your interpretation of Chopin must be in line with the period, or try to find the meaning of Chopin in your own playing. The question was asked what pieces you would avoid in Chopin competitions. That's hard, because it is indeed the test of a great Chopin player is, for instance, the simple nocturnes, some of the simplicity of the mazurkas. You can't avoid them because they are the essence of Chopin. If I would have to really choose something I wouldn't want to play, I would say the fourth ballade, which everybody plays. It is dangerous in so many different ways. For instance, in the fourth ballade, to keep the whole piece together is extremely difficult. Everybody looks towards the coda, but if you practice that, that will come instinctively, very, very fast. But the different variations of the same theme, or how he announces the theme itself. So if I have to choose one piece that I would not choose for a Chopin competition, which everybody or nearly everybody does, is the fourth ballade. What I would look for that wins my feelings towards somebody's playing of Chopin is the actual sound. That is the essence of Chopin. But of course it's the essence of all the other composers, because each composer has his or her sound. It's much like you go to a gallery and you see a painting, you immediately can recognize a Van Gogh or a Rembrandt. We should be able to recognize Chopin or Schubert or Beethoven by the sound that one produces. So the most important thing I look forward to is lyricism, very precise rhythm, and the singing tone of the melodies, because Chopin was a great melodic writer and all his life went to the opera. So his imagination was livened up by the fact that the orchestra is putting all their support to the singer. So later on in his life, of course, he became more and more polyphonic, but nevertheless, the thematic material that he chooses is always singing. If you have to choose a program, I would certainly show my strength in the 45 minutes, I would not shy away from some mazurkas. Certainly I would involve my ability in a nocturne. But then you want to choose a nocturne that you might start with, let's say, the first ballade, which is dramatic enough, and you want to diffuse the drama with not such a dramatic nocturne, and then continue perhaps with some mazurkas and finish up with the scherzo or the fantasy. That would be about a 45-minute, if not more. The variety of Chopin's music is in our imagination and in our knowledge of Chopin. So your choice of 45 minutes should include as much variety as possible. Who do I listen to when I want to enjoy Chopin? Mostly to learn from them is, I love to say it, is really Alfred Cortot, whose incredible rubato, one can hear a tremendous amount of sincerity and truth. After Cortot, I love listening to Arthur Rubinstein, whose uniqueness is in his sound. He's a very proud and beautiful player. He really brings Chopin to a different way of looking at him, a different perspective. If you open the radio or I suppose these days the CD, you can immediately see and hear Rubinstein. Of the more recent pianists, I really do love very much Akiko Ebi, who was on the prize winners of the competition, the Chopin competition. I like very much Dan Tai-song, who won the 1980 competition. Of course, I listened to some of the newly winners of the competition as well, but I think that Cortot captures my imagination the most. Nerves are very, very difficult to conquer. And of course, we all get nervous. Don't kid yourself. You're not the only one on stage that have that moment of something that will happen. In my mind, nerves are only occurring when I don't know the piece as well as I should. So I think that in preparation for a competition or for a recital, one should go on stage with the knowledge that they have done utmost best to prepare for it. I think also a good advice would be, and most difficult, is to learn while you're practicing to immerse yourself in the music. That means that you listen to specifically, sometimes to the bass line, sometimes to the beautiful melody line. And so you're not in surprise if the piano suddenly sounds a little louder in the bass. You know what you have to do. I think also nerves during performances occur mostly when you are surprised. The sound of the piano is not exactly what you are used to, or the whole is not what you're used to. These all have to be conquered by moving in the music with your mind and in your whole being and living it. That would reduce the nerves. And also playing for a lot of times the pieces to public, to your parents, to your fellow colleagues. These all help to get over it. One can always look back at so many times you thought you were doing the right thing and it went the wrong way. So if I would have to go back and think about it, first of all, with maturity, I've learned how to prepare myself for recitals or for any type of performance. When I was young, I was constantly thinking that if I practice enough, it will carry me through. Later on, I found that thinking and feeling the music, and as I progressed learning the piece, was two parallel ideas or parallel motions parallel preparations that I have to do. Of course, one has to learn the actual notes, one has to learn the fingering and to pursue all the passages to the best of our ability technically. But the imagination should not come from the fingers. The imagination is in our ears. So if I would have my way, I would probably about 10 to 15 years earlier, I would have started thinking about music from how I hear it and not how I play it. Because hearing it, my imagination would have come to life much, much earlier. It's very difficult to give advice to anybody who's entering competitions. The competitions itself is very much a very difficult task for anybody involved in. How can you compare one performance to the next is not measurable. It's an instinctive feeling on the part of the judges and also about the performers. Competitions, when you enter it, you're entering it voluntarily, of course. It means that you accept the rules. That means that sometimes you might think that you have played your best, but it wasn't appealing enough for the judges. Or you might have not played so well, but the judges liked it. So it is not measurable. But the most important thing is that the preparation and the ultimate performance that you give is what is the reward. Sometimes you should feel that when you play really, really well and you have given your best, it's enough. It's out of your hands. It's in the hands of the jury, who often are also mistaken. It is a personal thing. So make it the best you can play. Prepare for it really well. And I look forward to hearing you in October.